how is everyone doing today? I know I don't want to cut into your lunch. I know everyone's hungry. You're not going to waste any food, of course, after learning all that, but thank you for having me. Before we jump in, just turn to your neighbor and just say, you know what? Thank you so much for being here. Just turn to your neighbor and say, thank you so much for, this is a collaborative environment, right? We want to thank each other for being here today before there's a lull in, the pre-game before the food. So, awesome. I want to talk for a second. I'm Matthew Ridenour, and I'm helping out with business and partnerships at OpenIDEO. And I want to talk for a second about what we're seeing in food waste innovation. And do I have a...
I do.
That would be phenomenal. Thank you. I want to talk about food waste innovation and what we're seeing in there. And ideally to talk for a second about how can we not only learn from what we've been working on, but actually design for the future of being zero waste. And so hopefully this will go forward. I want to start with a quick story about a man named David Kelly. David Kelly founded IDEO, which is a global design innovation firm, 30 years ago with a very simple idea. He wanted to work on cool projects with his friends. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, he got to do that. He got to design Apple's first mouse and first laptop. Working a lot on this Silicon Valley product design, started to realize, you know what, it's not just about objects that we're designing, but actually human beings that we're designing for. And that when we put humans in the center, what we call human-centered design, then not only do we come up with better solutions, but they're things people actually want to do and actually want to engage in. And that idea led us to our current leader, our fearless leader, Tim Brown, who's our CEO, who started to think about what if design, instead of being 1 + 1 = 2, what if it was 1 + 1 = 20,000, where we could have positive and disproportionate impact through design in the world. And that's led us to be able to work on a big range of projects, from more inclusive voting experience to the future of food systems to even the future of healthcare and the pharmacy. It's been an exciting ride, and what was missing in some ways was, what if instead of just having a closed process that we work on one-to-one projects, what if we could actually 60,000 designers instead of 600 designers? What if we could be 600,000 designers instead of 600? Well, that might be hard to staff, and that might be hard to fit into our buildings, but what if we could create a platform where people could learn and apply human-centered design to social impact challenges? So OpenIDEO launched 6 years ago with that idea, and now I'm excited to share that we're building communities that work together and design solutions for our world's biggest challenges. And anyone can join. I invite you to do so. But what's our model like? Well, we focus on social impact challenges that mobilize a global community, bring new innovations to the surface. We then mobilize and dive deep into that social impact area and continue to work with partners and a global community around that issue. And then we drive for ongoing, lasting, on-the-ground impact. We focused on 42 different areas that we've hosted challenges in the last 6 years, from redesigning the end-of-life experience to the cost of college, which you don't worry about that much in Canada, but it's a big thing in the US, being able to afford college, and Zika and Ebola challenges. And our latest challenge has been, is this working? Food waste, where we're asking the question, how might we dramatically reduce waste by transforming our relationship with food? Everyone hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, great. We have some fantastic partners that have been joining us in this. Rockefeller Foundation, ReFed, City of San Francisco, and Closed Loop Foundation. Really been wondering. Yeah, that's better. Let's do that. Much better, right?
He'll turn it on.
Working either.
He'll turn
Okay, great. Much better. And we've had a few key challenge goals that we've had. Highlighting momentum and building awareness for the solutions out there, discovering new opportunities for innovation, sparking new partnerships and collaborations, and finally, not just stopping here at this challenge, but actually fueling an ongoing food waste reduction movement. And I'm thrilled to share that that's been happening on our platform. People around the world have been posting their ideas from local in-home interventions to system-wide global ideas. We saw over 15,000 people from over 100 countries, from Pakistan to India to Bolivia, not only online, but meeting in person to design new innovative solutions together. And as you can imagine, from all this, it was really hard to choose the top ideas. But last week, we went through all of them and looked at what are the most innovative ones, what are the ones that have the most opportunity for scaling and growing and creating real impact to reduce waste. And these 12 really came to the forefront, and in a few weeks, we'll be announcing one of these that will be funding through the Closed Loop Foundation, $25,000. But we saw ideas from food trucks that are delivering salvaged meals to new educational toolkits for kids to upcycling new materials and products and even new technologies for cutting out the supply chain. So with all this, what did we learn? What did we learn, and how can we actually apply that to ideally your job when you leave here, to create a framework for moving forward to a zero waste future? Well, I think there's 4 key areas. First is waste is an opportunity. It's not just waste anymore. There's actually business case and capital opportunities. So I implore any of us that are funders to consider what are new creative models for social impact investing or institutional investing to help some of these new business models take off. In fact, we saw an example, Rise, out of New York, NYU, where the School of Engineering is building out a lab where they're testing spent grain products and actually not only building them in the lab, but eating them and creating a bigger vision, which is a marketplace for actually selling recycled materials and being able to buy and sell them. The second area of impact that we saw is around food habits. You know, no one wakes up in the morning and just wants to go waste food, right? But there's an issue where it doesn't feel simple enough, it doesn't feel incentivized enough, and it doesn't feel delightful to keep from wasting food. And so how can we create simple interventions in our lives that make it really easy for people to stop wasting food? We saw a really cool, innovative model from a industrial designer in Indonesia called Eat the Old One First, which is a really simple storage solution. Instead of just cramming everything on top and letting the bottom go to rot in a storage unit, what if you just pull from the bottom? And he's thinking about both at the in-home level and the grocery, the retailer store. In fact, he even opened up his source, open sourced his idea and said, this is how you can go make it. This is a DIY version that you can build in your own home. The third area that we saw was thinking locally to scale globally. We really at IDEO believe in the power of prototyping and building small projects and pilots that we can learn from that then we can make big bets on later. We call it building to learn. And so is there a way that we can each leave here and start to launch some mini pilot project that could lead us to new innovative opportunities? We saw this as a great example with Save Food and Grow Jobs, which is a consortium of in Alameda County in California, where people are coming together and creating an entire workforce and paying people to deliver food and create food recovery jobs in an entire sector. And this is going to be a local thing, but you can imagine this happening in every city around the world. That could have a huge, huge impact. And the final one is Every Ship Rises, that together we are better. That I know we talk a lot about collaboration, but actually doing it is really hard sometimes, right? And so it's easy to become competitive and isolated from one another, but the more that we can open source, the more that we can share and learn together, the more that actually we can move and propel ourselves towards a zero waste future. Quick example of that is Food Flow, which actually started with a software engineer at Uber who had this idea about taking ride-sharing programs and creating a food delivery system. And he connected with a software designer at Apple, and now he's bringing in other people, a chef in the restaurant scene in San Francisco. And now we're actually talking with Uber about being able to implement this. And that's all because of the power of collaborating and not just holding on to my idea and my team. So the final, with all this, that's really great, right? These are exciting, innovative ideas, but we're seeing a big challenge here. And the big challenge is there's great things that are launching. This is a great time to be in waste, which I thought I'd never say, but this is a great time to be in waste. There's great things launching, but there's a big gap from scaling things. And we want to be part of filling that gap. And so we think that these 4 key areas might give us a clue to how we can launch ourselves toward filling that gap and ultimately creating a zero waste future. So creating new business models and capital structures, creating new incentives for changing our food habits, starting small and building prototypes that can go big, and finally collaborating and working together in order to fill that gap. And so the final thing that I'll leave you with that we're excited about and we would love to partner with you in is the big idea. Imagine if thousands of innovators actually were connected to collaborate together on food waste solutions. Imagine a world where they're able to build and partner and get mentorship and grow in order to move towards a zero waste future. And I'm excited to share that we are next week launching what we're currently calling the Food Waste Innovation Alliance, where we're trying to do just that, connect innovators with people like yourselves, partners, funders, mentors, innovators, city, and government. And we ask very humbly that you consider maybe joining us in this effort. We don't think that we can do it alone. We really do believe this is a collaborative thing and that all our ships rise together. So my call to action is join us, come find me, come talk to me, and let's do this together. So if you're at all interested in checking out any of this that I've talked about, it's all open source. It's all there for you on openideo.com. You can tag us at openideo, #unwasted. And the question I'll leave for us today to consider is how might we create positive and disproportionate impact in our food system together. So thank you very much. I'm Matthew Ridenour and happy to talk.